Hey guys, so for today's video I'm going to be using the Beauty Blender and all of these dupes that I've found over a few months' time. I'm going to go through and use each of them, compare side by side how the Beauty Blender did compared to how these did, and then towards the end I will tell you which one of the dupes that I liked the best. I'll tell you the prices of the dupes, where you can find the dupes. Dupe City. I'm going to show you how they worked as far as applying foundation, concealer, how they blended, did they pick up more product than they were putting onto my face, etc. And I think that there might be one that I like better than the Beauty Blender, and it's like half the price of the Beauty Blender, so you should probably keep watching to find out what that is. So yeah, I am just going to take all of this off, and we're going to jump right in. Okay, so I have nothing on my face except for I did prime with the L'Oreal Revitalift Miracle Blur. So this is all that's on my face. I always use a primer, so I'm going to use a primer for this demo. So that's all that's on my face, and I am going to be using two things for this. I'm going to be using my L'Oreal True Match Foundation, and then for concealer I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer that looks like this. So these are the only two products that I'm going to be using on my face for the demo. I have four beauty blenders that we're going to be working with today. Here is all of them. So I have four different brands we're going to be working with, and I'll let you know what they are as we go. So to start off, I am going to be using the original Beauty Blender. Here's what the packaging looks like. So I'm just gonna pin this out of my way. Hi, I look like a dork. And then I'm going to be using this side of my face for the original Beauty Blender. So I'm taking the rounder edge, just dabbing it in like that, and we're gonna work this on my face. And what I love about these is it really evens up, like it gives you a really even skin tone. It doesn't blotch up anywhere, and it doesn't drag any product, kind of like brush bristles tend to do. Especially when you get up towards that hairline, and I'm a natural blonde, so my blondies, you'll appreciate this. It doesn't cake the product into your hairline, so you can kind of see it. So that is really nice too. So that was about one layer, and I'm just topping it off here. And obviously, this just blends really, really nicely. So there's one side compared to the other. It looks really even, not blotchy at all, and it was super easy, and it just looks really natural. It doesn't look cakey or anything like that. This is called the Revive Beauty Pro. I do not have the packaging anymore for this little guy because I've had this longer than I've even had my Beauty Blender, but I've been using this for a long time. I actually use this in a few tutorials, so that's what it's called. And if I can find the link, I will link this below. This is about $5. So we will try this on this side of my face. And this one, I don't know if you can hear that, it's a lot more dense. So whereas the original Beauty Blender, you could actually like squeeze it like this one not so much. It's really, really hard and dense. So that is one thing I don't like about this particular blender. It almost feels like you're hitting your face with rubber, not a sponge. Like, can you hear that sound? And it doesn't kind of squish, so you can manipulate it to fit into certain spots of your face, so I don't really like that either. So this one is dramatically different from the original Beauty Blender. And then the other side we'll use the pointy side to kind of get in here. So I don't know if you can see too much of a difference so far, but I don't think the results are bad. But I'm not feeling the texture of that. So get close up all up in my face and you can see the skin finish difference. So this again is the Revive Beauty Pro. This is the Beauty Blender. So out of those two, I definitely recommend the Beauty Blender over this just because it is so hard. So to go further with these two blenders, I'm going to go ahead and do concealer because this is another thing you're going to be using a Beauty Blender for, is blending your concealer. And I'm just going to do the under eyes for now. And again, this side is going to be all Beauty Blender, so we're going to go ahead and blend that out. So there you can see that, and obviously there's a big dramatic difference because I actually really like my concealers to be obnoxiously bright. And obviously it would look a little different if I had eye makeup on, but there's the one side with the Beauty Blender, and now we're going to do the other side with the Revive Beauty Pro. Not working so well. You can kind of see how, since this is so dense, it's kind of just picking up the product instead of blending it. I don't know if you can see that real well, but this side of my face is almost redder, like you can see through to the redness of my skin, than this side. So there is Original. Here is Revive Beauty Pro. Like, see, this is just looking red to me, so this is kind of just picking up the product instead of blending it on my face. Definitely see a big difference in how the makeup application looks. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but side by side you can tell that this side definitely doesn't look great. Okay, so moving on, the next one we are going to talk about is this little guy, which looks very similar to the ones I have. This is the Precision Blending Sponge, and there's what the packaging looks like. Again, I got this at Marshall's, and this was around $5 to $7 as well. So I'm going to use this against my Beauty Blender. Now the first thing I will say is this one is definitely not as dense as the previous one I used. This one is actually like squeezable and moves and everything, much like the Beauty Blender, so it's definitely not as hard and rubbery. It actually feels like a sponge. And again, all I have on my face is a primer, so we're going to keep this default as the Beauty Blender side. So I'm going to go ahead and apply Beauty Blender again. Okay, so we have our Beauty Blender side. You guys have already seen that, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. And then here we go with our blending sponge on this side of my face. It's a lot softer than the Revive Beauty Pro, the pink one that I just used. You can't hear myself smacking my face with it. And this is actually doing a really good job of distributing that product around as well. It's not holding on to the sponge, it's actually putting it onto my face, if that makes any sense. I feel like the other one was just hanging on to everything. So this was only 2 dabs of makeup. This is the beauty sponge, right? The blending sponge, I'm sorry. And it actually looks really, really nice. And I almost can't tell the difference between sides. They look very, very similar. The finish looks very, very similar. So this is Beauty Blender, and this is Blending Sponge. I actually really, really like this. Like I said, I have not used this sponge before. It's actually been sitting in a drawer waiting for me to film this video. Really, really like it. So this would be an awesome dupe so far for the Beauty Blender. So next we're going to do concealer. I'm just gonna pop that on real quick. So there we have that. And again, Beauty Blender on this side. We're just gonna blend that in again. And again, as with last time, it did a beautiful job. And this is the blending sponge on this side. Which is actually blowing my mind right now. It's doing a really good job. So there we have both sides. Again, I can really not see too much of a difference. They almost performed exactly the same. So there's the difference. Beauty Blender, blending sponge. So thus far, this is definitely my favorite dupe for the Beauty Blender, and again, there is the packaging. That is so far my favorite dupe, and I have one more that I'm really excited to use. So I'm going to wash my face and then we'll get into the last dupe for the Beauty Blender and we'll see if I like that one. Okay, so for my last blender that I have, this is actually from Real Techniques. Some of you may have seen this on YouTube. This is relatively new, and I actually just saw this in Ulta earlier this week, so I picked this up and I was like, you know what, I need to have a plethora of blending sponges for my video because I wanted to give you guys a good idea for great dupes that actually work very similar to the Beauty Blender. So this, I believe, was $12, but still much cheaper than the Beauty Blender. So we're gonna see how this works, and I'm a little intrigued by this flat surface. If you can see, it has like a flat surface right here, and then it does have the pointed surface. So we'll see how this works. And for this part, I'm just gonna speed right through the Beauty Blender part because you guys have seen this already twice. Hold tight, I'll be right back, girl. Okay, and another thing I wanted to say about this real quick is, again, it's not hard or super dense like the first one we used. It actually squishes like the Beauty Blender. So I'm going to use the flat surface for foundation. Let's see how this works. It's nice for getting under the eyes. And it's actually really, really, really soft, which I like. And this flat surface is actually doing a wonderful job of applying. I hate to say it, but I might like this a little bit more than the Beauty Blender. I don't know, but it's doing an awesome job. Doesn't cake makeup in your hair, in your hairline. And it literally picks up no product at all. If you can see that, there's not a ton of product left. Seriously, I think I might like this better than the Beauty Blender. And it's cheaper. Okay, so here you can see, here is Beauty Blender, and here's the Real Techniques. Seriously, I almost like this better. Almost like it better than the Beauty Blender. Final test. We're gonna do our concealer and see how this goes. And I'm just gonna speed right through the Beauty Blender side because you've seen this. And then we're going to use the pointed side of the Real Technique brush on this. This gives a super natural finish. It blended really nice. So there you can see Real Technique side and Beauty Blender side. Okay, I really, really, really like this sponge. Okay, so I guess my final thoughts and opinions. My two favorite dupes of the Beauty Blender are definitely this one, which is the blending sponge, and again, if I can find a link, I will link it in the bottom bar, and absolutely the Real Techniques sponge. This is relatively new. You can find it in Ulta. It should be on their website and everything, so I'll link that as well as if I can find it, but I almost think that I like this more than the Beauty Blender. I think I might, and it's actually way cheaper. This was $12. The Beauty Blender is like $28 to $30, I believe, depending on which one you get. So I would definitely recommend either one of these. This is definitely my favorite, and I really would not recommend this, which is the Revive Beauty Pro. It's really hard. As you can see, it like barely, you can barely squish it. So it's really hard and dense, and it picks up more product than it puts on your face. So I really don't recommend that one. These two, I definitely would recommend. Sorry I looked so odd in this video, but I didn't want to have a bunch of makeup on. I wanted to really show you how the finishes looked and everything like that. So I hope this helped you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you found any other dupes, or if you would like to see any other dupes of the Beauty Blender or anything like that. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.